Welcome to the Real Estate Happy Hour.
Man, we're back. It's November 1. I'm sorry.
Man.
Halloween yesterday. That's the last day of October.
It was. And hey, sailing. Hey, why are we listening to this?
Oh, this is a little Christopher Cross.
Little yacht rock. Oh, yeah.
I'll be sailing away.
You'll be sailing away next week. What ship?
We're sailing away on the Reflection.
Celebrity Reflection.
Celebrity Reflection.
Yeah,
man, it's going to be nice. Looking forward to that. So I just
man,
wanted
you're gonna have your staff will be here, right?
Oh yeah. Everything will be covered here. Just wanted to.
Oh, just wanted to rub it in. Is what you wanted to do.
Sailing out there. Let everybody know that we're excited about that, right?
The world's excited about you getting to go. What, 9 days? You'll be what? Central America?
Grand Cayman.
Oh yeah, great diving spot.
Right? Cozumel, Costa Rica.
Costa
Maya.
Man, you be on the coastas. And then you can walk home with everybody coming up, that way if you need to.
I might have to just skip.
If the family kicks you off the boat because you played roulette a few times.
Yeah, that's right. That is right. So that's what we're doing next week. Yesterday was Halloween, though.
Man, hope y'all had a great Halloween. Man, the candy this year, better than most years. People didn't skimp.
They didn't.
No raisins in the box this year, in the basket.
What about the pretzels? Did we have any pretzels?
No pretzels. No apples either with the razor blades, which I know you're fond of.
Oh, we don't want those.
No, not as many nerds. I know a lot of people like nerds, like yourself.
I do. One of my favorites, and that and the Reese's.
Yeah. And the other one that I don't understand is, have you seen that, do we have to bastardize every candy bar? I like Butterfinger. Just a regular old Butterfinger. But now they put a peanut butter Butterfinger.
They gotta
but it's not good.
Sales somehow, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess you put peanut butter with everything, right?
Man, so what happened last night is, obviously in typical fashion, we were last minute to the
costume game,
to the costume ideas. So we had to make some adjustments on the fly and ended up as bumblebees.
So this guy is sitting there. You were wearing a onesie.
Bumblebee onesie. That was nice.
Man, oh man. Yeah, I mean, it was hey.
Good times.
Courtney looked amazing, ravishing. You look like a dude
in a bumblebee
suit.
yeah. That's pretty much what it was.
Absolutely. And the cool thing is you didn't, the only thing that will look cooler on you is one of them blow up things. The ones that have the little engine in them or air.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Man,
Karen knows all about the Stay Puft.
Was she there?
She was a Ghostbuster. She was there. She was a witness to the bumblebee.
Oh, yes. And she saw you shake it, right? Well, hey, as we get into all this, man, Elon Musk is making news again. We've talked about him before.
Yeah, I saw this headline. The guy now is trying to bring broadband to the world. And it's amazing. I mean,
when you say broadband, you mean internet.
Internet service, right. Like high-speed internet service to the world. It's just crazy when you see this guy getting involved with something. And when you think about what did you think about doing it, when you were growing up as a career?
Well, I mean, astronaut, but I knew that wasn't going to happen.
I mean, what kind of problems?
I never really tried to solve problems.
What kind of problems do you plan on solving on a daily basis? This guy is building a tunnel in Los Angeles. He's bringing internet to the world, electric cars, solar panels.
Yeah, the solar panels. He's big at SpaceX.
Space travel.
The guy, by the way, 36.
Yeah, 36 richest man in the world.
Yep, worth about $22 million. Billion, sorry.
22
big
billion,
difference.
Yeah. He's not doing much.
22 million's like you.
Million.
22's billion's him.
Billion, yeah.
But what's interesting that I was, as we were looking through this stuff is, what drives people, and I was reading a lot in his bio about, he was bullied in school, but very driven to find a better way of doing things, He was catching a lot of pressure from his folks about, just doing what everybody else did, right? Not solving problems probably, but going to school in South Africa, just stay here. And I thought it was a great quote that he had regarding moving to the United States. And he said, I remember seeing that America is where great things are possible more than any country in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've read some stuff about him. I know crazy work ethic. He's. And I was also reading something else. He had fired a bunch of people for being slow. That's another thing. Like he is crazy. I think I forget what it was.
He'd have probably fired you for wearing a bumblebee outfit, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, more than likely. But yeah, he's very difficult to work with from what I've read. Slept in his office, when he was younger.
And he also says he's been through 3 marriages essentially.
Yeah, and he will crank deadlines up. If you think it'll take you 2 weeks, he'll make you do it in a week. Or less. It's
working, and it's changing the world.
Working, huh? It's working,
and it's changing the world as we know it. Really, because the thing is, he's solving real problems.
Yeah.
That are out there, and much like I think Steve Jobs did, you didn't know you had the problem until he starts telling you that he's about to solve it.
Right.
And then you're like, hey,
yeah,
I guess I'm excited.
Yeah, a lot of amazing things. 2 degrees physics and economics. So he was part of the original company that turned into PayPal, and that's where he made most of his early money, right?
That's crazy. And to think, when you go over that list, like you said, Solar City, Tesla, the Boring Company, all these companies that we've heard of, which is crazy. Hey, Tara. So I think that Elon is one of those guys, and everybody, we talk about Donald Trump occasionally here. His don't give a stuff meter is off the charts. Yeah. Elon's much to the same, right? Yeah. He doesn't care they're trying to get the dude for smoking weed, and he does not care. Right?
Yeah, he smoked weed on a podcast.
On a radio podcast that has no visual, really.
I think they tried to take him out of some roles at Tesla. He doesn't care.
Oh, no.
He doesn't care what you do to him. Man, let's see. Moving on. Many grads underemployed after college. So how'd you find this story?
Well, looking through a number of areas that we look at every week, including Money Magazine this month, Wall Street Journal that I read every day. Wall Street Journal's been talking about this. And, I've been trying to find reason into our real estate market. What's happening to us, all right? And why are we so slow right now? And a lot of it is people are running into some financial issues, not relative to a mortgage, but relative to their families, right? They're making enough to get by, but that excess is not there. And one of the reasons that they're talking about is this, what we call underemployment, especially with those 20-somethings, those early 30s, right? They're getting their career going. And what underemployment really is, it's let's give you what would you say? The dictionary definition is the underuse of a worker due to a job that does not use the worker's skills or is part-time. In other words, what you and I are, right? If you might not know, David's an engineer from Georgia Tech, and he is in essentially finance in mortgages. And so in other words, if we were looking at a new fresh graduate coming out, and he's an engineer, and he has to go work at Wendy's, that is a underemployed individual.
You're basically not qualifying for the job that maybe you may be qualified for, or you can't find the job that you may be qualified for. I saw a lot of this between 2008 and 2012 when we had the market crisis with the housing market and everything. And anytime the economy falters, companies get scared. They tighten.
That's right.
Hiring, obviously.
Yep.
Because that's a big source of overhead. So it happens a lot in that. And I think what's driving this now is these are college graduates that are now underemployed because I think the number of or the volume of people going to college now is much higher than it's ever been. Well,
and you look at different industries too. You look at somebody coming out, say, with a liberal arts degree, can't find employment, so they go wait tables. Right? That is got to be factored as underemployed. They're not making what they are. And one of the interesting stats about underemployed individuals that are college graduates recently is that the average college graduate that's working in their field is making about $46,000, I believe. Counter that to the person that is what we would say underemployed or not working within their chosen field is about $36,000. So it's a real difference maker. And you multiply that times the number of people we're seeing underemployed, it makes a massive difference in the economy.
Yeah, and I think you've got employment rates, so the overall unemployment rate is low right now.
People are finding jobs.
Yeah, people are finding jobs, but I think we're just having so many people graduate college that there's not those college level. There's not as many college level jobs as there are people graduating.
Well, the good news for you is that as an engineer, you are the least likely of all the degreed programs to have a problem.
To go without employment.
To go without employment within your chosen profession at 29%. David Love, the worst degree you can get and come out and get a job in your field is culinary and personal services.
Yeah, personal and culinary services.
I could have told you that.
Yeah, obviously culinary makes sense of what that is, but personal services.
But some of your best chefs around here, maybe they went to chef school or whatever, but some of them probably didn't even do anything.
Right.
Barely got out of high school, but just have God's gift and God's talent is cooking.
Yeah. Next one was Homeland Security and law enforcement, which I think is interesting that this is even that it's a degree.
Well,
right?
I think a lot of these people go into this law enforcement and these type careers thinking it's going to be CSI.
But it's so specialized. I think this goes to the point that we're making that so many people are going to college now, and we've got all these added specialized degrees that is creating more colleges, right? More opportunities for college. And I think there's a lot of money there, obviously. They're making a lot of money.
They sure are.
There's a lot of student loan debt there, which is another problem too.
Now counter that with $10,000 less in salary that of course when you went to that college and you went to that guidance counselor, they were going, "Oh, you'll make $46,000."
Yeah. So you got more people going to college, more people getting into debt, and more people coming out and not getting the job they want, right?
Absolutely.
So you're getting hit on both sides. More debt, less income.
And one thing I thought about was a few weeks ago, you and I talked about how many kids are living at home.
Yeah.
Right? Going home. See, he's already ready, right? 2 more years pay for college. He comes home.
Oh, yeah.
Lives with you.
Of course.
That's the way, American way now, right? But one of the things was this thing was talking about how it affects people's motivation and causes depression and other things like that in these young people. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is a lot of this is tied back together, right? It's one big full circle with this generation that's going through this of graduating college and not finding the employment and the satisfaction that they want out of their employment.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you come out with that kind of debt and you don't have, you're not moving right into the job that you were planning on or the income level that you're planning on, it just starts to cause problems right from day one.
Let me ask you this, because some people may be wondering too. Going through the hard work that you had to, because I am quite certain my college experience was a little different than his academically, for sure. But what led you to go from, on one hand, being an engineer to now being in finance?
Well, I think just the draw of the mortgage business, the numbers, dealing with personal finance. I've always been interested in personal finance.
Right.
And I think that is one thing that is not taught in schools and nobody really talks much about. So I enjoyed that part. I just enjoyed that part of the business. It ties into also with the stock market and investments and things in general.
You were a numbers guy, and so I guess as an engineer, you liked seeing how things happen.
Yeah, and if engineers do a lot of process optimization, a lot of work in factories and things like that. Managing processes or things getting.
And you've been so successful here. It's so funny that one thing to keep in mind, and a lot of these people, when we see these stats about unemployment, underemployment, those type of things, is that in some ways, folks like myself that I'm in sales, I have 2 law degrees and all that, and yet I'm actually considered on a lot of these things unemployed, right? I work for myself.
Underemployed. Yeah.
Underemployed, right? So in the statistics,
those that know you might think you're unemployed.
That's partially true and a little crazy, but I didn't wear a bee outfit yesterday either.
That was good looking though.
No, Courtney was good looking in it. You look like a bee.
She made me look better standing next to me.
She sure did. That is for sure.
Well, man, let's move it on. Block B. Our next question.
Yep.
Next segment was
we had a listener or viewer, whatever you want to say. Now that we're a podcast, we can say both, right? Anyway, had a question come in, and I thought it was good enough to make the show. So the question was, and this is them talking. I see sometimes when I'm getting a mortgage quote that the loan officer says I can get you 4.75 interest rate with mortgage insurance, and I can also get you 5.25 without mortgage insurance. And I think it's a great question. Why is that question even possible? Why don't y'all just give them one rate and be done?
Well, it's just a difference in the products. It's difference in how you want to set it up. And typically, this is it's called lender paid mortgage insurance. So basically, that additional premium that we get on the difference between 4.75 and 5.25, obviously it should make sense that the lender's going to make more money at a higher interest rate, right? Over time, if you're paying more interest, then the bank's going to make more money. So the difference in premium there is going to go to pay off the mortgage insurance in one lump sum instead of you paying it monthly. So for example, you put 5% down, you might be paying that mortgage insurance monthly for, let's say, 7 or 8 years.
Right.
Depending on if you make any additional payments, things like that.
Okay.
So let's just say you make your regular payment, you're paying that monthly for a while. Now, this is just one lump sum. So it's a different amount. So they have, they've done the math. They know what the payoffs are and they know what makes sense.
The risk is on them early, it sounds like to me, right? Because if they're paying this all this mortgage insurance off at one time, they're just praying that you don't pay this loan off.
No, because, well, I don't know that matters, but because they're receiving the mortgage insurance anyway. So the mortgage insurance is still on the loan.
Oh, either way, even under the traditional.
Yeah, the mortgage insurance is still on the loan. So the bank's not taking any more risk. It's just a different way of paying for the mortgage insurance. So the mortgage insurance is still there.
What are we looking at? Like, when they have this and this is a typical spread of about a half point. What does that mean to somebody?
And that's probably, and it depends on the loan amounts, but let's say, you do the break evens a lot of times, and I usually calculate these numbers at 5% down. We'll look at it 10% down, 15% down. Now, if you're putting 15% down, you're a little bit closer to the time where your mortgage insurance will fall off.
So I may not want to do.
So it probably makes sense to keep the monthly, because after it falls off, you'll have the lower rate. So
is my lender, when you do lender paid mortgage insurance, is that mean a mortgage payment that actually can be less than when I get the mortgage insurance added?
Yeah, that's the benefit of it. Okay. Is that the mortgage insurance, the monthly payment is less. So instead of paying the 4.75 with mortgage insurance, your payment is actually less with the 5.25 without mortgage insurance.
Very interesting, right?
But you do the break even and you figure out it is typically about 13 to 15 years.
Right.
Where you'll break even with the lower mortgage payment. So you can either take the benefit in 15 years.
Okay.
Through the end of the mortgage, or take the benefit up front from day one. And since most people don't know what's going to happen in 13 to 15 years, they'd rather take the lower monthly payment up front. So we see this a lot with the 5% down options.
And so is it, just going back, because we really are big on people's personal finances, is it would you do it? And when is when do you advise someone to go ahead and have a higher interest rate and have the lender paid MI?
Well, you got to look at the overall scenario and do the math. But typically, this is going to look a lot better with better credit scores. Okay, so 740 and above, 760, 800. This is going to look a lot more attractive, because remember, that premium that we got to build in is to cover the mortgage insurance, and the mortgage insurance is going to be more expensive if you have a lower credit score.
Okay,
because you're a higher risk. And the mortgage insurance is going to be more expensive if you're putting less down. So that's why the 10% and the 15% models look different. All right, we've got to do the math on each one of them. 15% probably monthly is going to make more sense. 5% lender paid is going to make more sense. The 10% is in the middle. It's personal preference. We do the numbers.
Which do you want? Because I think from the outside looking in, being on the sales side of this whole process, is that I think people focus way too much on rate.
Yeah, and I think that's funny, because a lot of people will hear that 5.25.
Oh my God!
I don't want that. That's all they're thinking about.
Awful.
They're not thinking about the benefits for you're going to benefit for 13 to 15 years. The first half of the mortgage, you're doing better with the higher rate.
And one thing to remember too is that, especially the folks that are in their 20s and 30s, you're in your earning years. You should, or you might be underemployed, be increasing in salary. So it might help you, actually.
Yeah, and hardly anybody knows if you're going to be in the house in 13 to 15 years. Who knows?
And it drives me nuts. They listen to their parents. The thing is, a lot of these people listen to their parents who've had their stuff paid off for years, and they're conditioned on interest rate alone. I'm not saying don't listen to your parents. My golly, Amanda listens to her parent. I listen to mine sometimes. You know,
Well, I just want to say that the best financial decision is to go with the monthly and get aggressive on the monthly payments, right? To get rid of the mortgage insurance. That's
Right.
the best way to do it. But not everybody can do that. Not everybody has the option to do that. Not everybody wants to do it. Maybe you want to defer those monthly savings into something else. So, you know, it's money and there's moving parts and there's a lot of numbers. So interest rate is not the only thing. It is pretty much the bottom line.
That's the takeaway from today. Interest rate, not the only thing.
Yeah, you got to look at the whole picture and break-even analysis and do some numbers.
You know, I had a question before I got over here about current interest rates. What are they right now?
Well, Freddie Mac and I look at this usually every week before we get on the show because it's the safest place to go. That has a mortgage market survey, and today, November 1st, they published the average 30-year rate's 4.83.
Not bad.
And 4.23 on a 15-year fixed.
Gotcha. So 15, we're still in the low fours. And the jumbos have gotten a lot easier for you guys too, right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, and I just wanted to point out one thing, because sometimes this will assume usually about a little over half a point in fees, okay, on these rates that Freddie Mac publishes.
Let me make sure I clarify that. You're saying that you're going to be charged a 0.5% origination fee to get that fee.
Yeah, roughly. They average that out.
Rate
they average the rate, they average the fees. So anyway, but I've seen a couple of, because we pass things along. Fairway's a big company, okay? Our mortgage company's a large company. We have,
Around
400 branches all over the country. And so whenever somebody else sees something, they share it. And this week we've seen a couple of estimates come across from different companies talking about, no points or low rates. And I saw a couple of estimates with 3 and 4 points that I don't ever see it in our market.
We're back. Yeah.
But it's out there. So
when he says a point, that's 1 percentage point. So in other words, 1% of the loan of the purchase price.
So you got a $100,000 loan, and 3 points is $3,000.
Yeah.
And that's just one fee. That's just one part of your closing costs. That's not even nearly all of them. So it's just really important when you talk about mortgages, when you talk about rates, when you get surprised at what your rate is now, you got to look at the fees.
Well, and I don't think you can compare. One of the biggest things ways I can advise you, because I'm on the consumer side of this stuff. I'm with them, not with y'all. I'm looking at it from their perspective, usually from the buyer's perspective. And one of the things I can tell you about a lot of the online lenders, one of their MOs, if you will, is to give you these estimated sheets that look phenomenal. Only problem is they haven't factored in real numbers from our area, like how much insurance is, how much the taxes are.
Yeah, and I just think it's funny that, they'll before you even get to that estimate sheet, they'll send you emails saying, no points, or saying no MI, which is deceptive. They do deceptive things until they give you the breakdown and you've got all the numbers in front of you. You've got an interest rate, total cash to close, closing costs, everything. Then you don't really know what you're getting into. And I think a lot of people miss that point.
I think you're right. Well, moving on to the next topic about is your retirement going to last?
Man, I love this one. This was an article in this month's Money magazine. It's got this fellow named Orville Rogers on the cover. Okay, Orville is 100 years old. Matter of fact, I looked him up on Facebook last night. I sent him a message.
Man's on Facebook. Did you really?
Yeah, I sent him a message on Facebook. I don't think he'll reach out to me, but I told him I was.
He's a very spry 100.
Told him I was trying to be harmless, but
what were you assuming he would think?
Well, I said I'm reading your article. I'd love to.
That's good.
Discuss your retirement savings more. He's probably
That's
like,
funny.
yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but this guy, okay, so 100 years old. He retired at 60. He was a pilot, so he had to kind of do things a little bit differently.
Hey, did you notice? What's really funny is, did you notice the year he retired? He was like 1978.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's my whole life.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been retired just kicking it your whole life.
Yeah.
But the article starts off talking about how more and more people are actually living past 100, and the 100 plus, they call it centenarian or something. Population to grow by 8-fold by year 2050. So that means there will be 8 times as many people living past 100 in 2050. said right now for a 65-year-old couple today, there's a 50% chance that one of you will make it to 92. So basically where they're going.
I hope it's me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm sure Amanda really. Yeah.
But typically it's the woman.
Yeah. Yeah. It's usually the woman.
So what they're getting at is that for a long time, financial planners have, 65 was kind of the target for retirement.
Absolutely.
And they tell you to plan for 30 years, right?
Because you weren't going to live that long anyway.
Yeah, so 65 to 30 is 95. So now if we got more and more people going past 100, then obviously you got to change your retirement planning a little bit.
Yeah, and when you sent this over, I was reading the article, and one of the things I found interesting was that basically what most people do is they wait till they're 65, 70, go, hey, I'm in great health. Uh-oh. Well, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
Right? If I live beyond that. And I just took away a lot of, hey, I better start planning right this moment.
Yeah.
As opposed to waiting till you're
It was
70.
funny. I think one of the quotes in there was in the late 70s, early 80s, they said, everybody was just dying in their boots because, everybody just
normal.
worked. You just worked till you died because they weren't living that long. They weren't retiring.
Right, absolutely.
They weren't planning on being in retirement, not working for 20, 30 years. That wasn't even a thing.
Right. Just hang it. Yep.
But now they point to fewer Americans smoking and dying of tobacco-related diseases, which I thought was a big deal. Cancer death rate has plunged 26% since the high 1991.
Now, those probably are correlated, I would think.
Oh, yeah, they got to be. I mean, just the difference in the idea around smoking right now. Average savings of workers 60 to 64 with a 401k, $195,000 right now.
Wow.
So today that means the average person between 60 and 64 has $195,000 in 401k. Now, is that enough to last, 30, almost 40 years? Probably not.
And I think most of you watching are about to get a wake-up call based on their numbers. Now, some of you aren't. I mean, I know there's some people here that go, hey, I'm great.
Well, yeah, and I think the point is, we've got some.
Let's look at these numbers. I mean, because they're fascinating. Is that a healthy 30-year retirement is you need, if you plan under this traditional model, 20 when you turn 65. Let's say that's the number. 25 times your annual expenses. So if you're living on $100,000 now, you need 2.5
million
million
expenses. Yeah, and I think another way to look at it was at retirement you need 10 times your annual salary. So whatever you're accustomed to making, you need 10 times that at retirement to make it.
Right. So if you, under my scenario, you have very good taste.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
expenses.
And this says this jumps to 30 times if you want a 40-year retirement. I mean, so it's just important to start early. So it's basically if you need $100,000, then you need to have 2.5 million by the time you retire.
Right. And so one of the things too here, 40-year-olds should already have. So if you're 40, you should have 3 times your salary in savings already. In other words, if you're making $100,000 a year, you should have in your 401k and retirement plans about $300,000. Now, when you get to 45, it jumps to 4 times that amount. And when you get to 55, you need to have 7 times. So if you make $100,000, you better have $700,000. Now that all this can be amended, but what they're saying is that that's to know if you're on the right track.
Yeah, and I thought some other things that was very important along the same lines. They had 5 benchmarks. Okay, 5 benchmarks for retiring early. The first one was to start early. And they're saying by the age 25, and I think these are nice little markers along wherever you're at in life. You can kind of listen and say, if you're doing some of these, but by 25, invest in 401k. Be invested somehow. Now, most 401k companies will, or they'll start you out recommended 3%.
Oh, yeah.
But the recommended is actually 10 to 15%.
Well, and the 3% is based generally on the match that's done by your employer.
Yeah. So you definitely want to at least get the maximum match. That's free money. So definitely get that. Start by 25. Number 2 was triple your savings. So by 40, you have at least 3 times your income. And I know you talked about that a few other numbers there. But number 3, plan for your health. This was a big one. By 55, okay, you need to have a plan for long-term care. They say one of the biggest things that knocks retirees out is healthcare.
Yeah, I can tell you as a tax attorney, when I was practicing, that was one of the biggest ones. If you looked at people, because here's the thing, folks, 50% to 2/3 of you are going to need at some point long-term care. Now, never ever, and I mean never, buy long-term care insurance in your 50s. But the minute you turn 60, make sure you have a long-term care policy. Because unless you want to go to the county-run nursing home or be a complete burden, right?
Yeah.
You better plan now, and you're going to. And here's the problem: you want to go to these private places, they're going to make you.
It's expensive.
If you want Medicare to kick in, they're going to make you drain your assets.
Yeah, I think the numbers I was looking at somewhere $4,000 to $7,000 a month for this long-term care. So that's number 3. By 55, working on that. Number 4, decide on your Social Security strategy. So at 62, you need to determine the best time to get your Social Security. Now, I know there's some retirement calculators out there that can give you advice or help you with this by plugging some numbers in. How much do you have now? How much do you have at 62? Can you afford to wait till 65, 68, 70?
And one thing to remember that this article really talked about was a lot of these calculators have not been updated for anything other than the traditional 30-year window.
Yeah, it had a lot of negative things to say about the standard calculators, the retirement calculators, that they do not take enough things into account. So yeah, definitely look some of that stuff up and figure that out. Number 5 was to go debt-free. By retirement, makes sense. 0 debt at retirement, 0.
Hey, that's where
0 high interest debt.
If it weren't for college, we would be, right?
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, because your income is limited. So why would you pay for interest?
Absolutely.
Right?
One thing playing along the lines of what you were talking about, when they merge the two, exercise and retirement savings, they're so right when they say it's hard to get started, because they call it present. It's a scientific term called present bias, which means the human tendency to deal with what's happening now twice as heavily as what might happen in the future. In other words, I'm not ready to go to the gym yet.
Right.
I need to I got to go up to Walmart today, and I got to get some stuff done. And with my savings this summer I'm going to have to send Susie to camp. So I'm going to wait.
Yeah. Or how many people today are more worried about spending at Christmas than they are saving the 401k next year or this year?
Right. I think I talked about this before, but earlier last year, I remember I was thinking to myself, Amanda and I went from, we were the traditional person talking in here, where we were 3% savers in the 401k. And every time I thought, man, going to 5% is going to be tough. But once we bit the bullet and we got to 10%, right, it was easy because I didn't even know the difference.
Yeah.
Right? But you were, and where she works is a little bit different in the way 10's the max because they give you the other 8, but neither here nor there. But it never affected us because mindset-wise, it was never our money.
Yeah.
And it was deferred maintenance.
And you don't see it. So you can make that adjustment pretty quickly. But that's an important thing to do, is to get started early, and even talk to other people, talk to your spouse, talk to friends, maybe get some help with.
And what's really interesting too is, because everybody's into being satisfied and having that. I mean, I never heard my father go, man, this job just fulfills me. Right? I mean, maybe yours did. I don't know. But that just never was even a thought, right? In that generation. But now we have that. People are getting to their mid-50s and going, I need a job that fulfills me, that doesn't pay as much. The question that they raised was, have you already prepared? So, in other words, if you don't like what you do, stay in it as long as you can, and you get to your mid-50s if you've planned right, because what's going to happen is you're going to have to make sure you've saved a little bit more back when you're in your 40s.
Yeah,
so that
or
you
30s or late 20s.
There you go.
I mean, by the time you get in your mid-50s, if something happens and these younger people are coming up, there's technology changes, all businesses are changing, right? So who would be better to have the job? Somebody younger that understands the technology more? So get ready for that before you get there. So they're talking about when people get laid off and then they come back into the workforce. They're coming back at much lower salary than they would prefer. And even for the job that they want, let's say they want to just bartend at 50 on the beach, right? Because they just enjoy that. Now, that's a different situation, but I'm talking about people that are trying to come back into the workforce and they are not making as much as they can. So they want you to plan for that stuff now and figure out work with some of these retirement calculators. Plug in the numbers and say, okay, at 50, yeah, I'm going to go work at a bar on a beach making a lot less money. I'll be making this much money. So how much do I need to make and save now?
You're telling the plan.
Yeah. I
mean, sorry.
How much do I need to make and save now to get ready for that?
Absolutely. And one thing that I also want to mention was, a lot of folks, I've been asked a lot, there's a lot of good folks that are very well versed in financial planning. Really, I mean, from Northwestern Mutual, all these guys that really know. But if you're going for a full financial plan, I think you can utilize all those guys because there's no better disability insurance, life insurance than Northwestern Mutual. That said, if I was choosing a financial planner to pull it all together for me, only go with fee only, where they are a fiduciary of yours, where you pay them an hourly rate, whatever their rate is, and that their advice is not tied to the investment that you're in. Because I think right now, think of these investments that have 55, 60, 70% commissions, and you're telling me that's a good investment for me? If there were, that's just not good. And quite frankly, you could go with Fidelity, Schwab, TD Ameritrade. All of them have these index funds, those type things that you could just jump into. Yeah, and I'm sure it's tough for people, listening to figure out. There's a lot of things to think about. How can they sift through all this information, all these fees, and how do they know when they're getting charged, when they're not getting charged, what they're making? It's a lot to think about, but just do your homework. Well, in worst case scenario, I love what Clark Howard always says. When in doubt, just plow every bit of your retirement into a Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab target date retirement fund that has their risk factor. How weighted are they in stocks and bonds, those type of things? They'll take all the risk out of it. If Drew Brown, who's watching us now, wants to get his retirement account going, right? He'll just put $1,000 in there. They'll wait it out for him, right? They'll say, okay, well, we're going to put it in X, Y, and Z. And as he gets older, the risk lowers, right? As he gets older, he gets closer to 65, more bonds, less equities. Yeah, and I got to apologize to Brad Charles. I know he asked me to wear the Bumblebee suit on the show today. I wasn't sure that was going to be a good idea, so I apologize, Brad. But better known as Siggy.
But listen, I want to go back to it comes down to save as much as you can, and then save some more, and start early. Life happens, things happen, right?
And one of the other takeaways that I think is very important is don't run from stocks. What have we seen this last week? We've seen a roller coaster, right? I did like today though, but you can't outpace inflation and inflationary increases in cost of goods and services by just being in passive investments. Your vanilla stuff, the stuff, online savings accounts, not going to do it. You're not even going to outpace inflation.
Yeah, which means, inflation is expected to grow at around 2 to 3% per year. That. If it gets higher than that, then we have other issues. But so if the cost of goods is going up at 2 to 3% and your money is not making more than that, then you're breaking even.
Yes. Oh, no doubt.
Just to explain that to people, make sure they understand that, if you're not making 2 to 3% a year, then you're actually losing money. Yeah, and right? I'll
take it back to real estate, because that is what we are, because we're a big deal, and we are the real estate happy hour.
We're kind of a big deal,
yeah. Yeah, we're kind of one. No, but I went back and looked, we paid for our house that, my wife's dying to get out of, by the way, but we're paying too much down on the mortgage with you,
Of course.
But I'm losing this battle, by the way. But I looked at, we paid $245 for it, and probably get $280, $285 for the house now, right, or whatever. I looked at the cost of that dollar, or the value of that dollar in 2006 when I bought the house, and said, what is that dollar worth in today's money? That $245,000 is worth $295,000 today. So I was looking there going, woo, we are going to make $40,000 on this house. But folks, let me tell you, in real dollars and cents, guess what? I lost 10, right? So, and we see that with most people with houses, right? I mean, we didn't make anything. We're just getting a refund on the inflation.
Yeah, it's the up and down of the market. And obviously 2006 was one of the worst times as far as value to get in, because you did have the sharp drop, and then it's been working its way back up ever since. But yeah, that's part of that market.
So I think just the big takeaway here is start planning now, because technology, everything's allowing people to live so long. And, and we get it. A lot of our viewers that we have are 30, 40 years old. And it's not too late. If you're in your 50s, it's not too late to just do something.
Yeah,
right?
I think the saying goes, the best time to plant a oak tree was 20 years ago. The
Yeah.
second best time is now.
That's exactly right.
So you should have started 20 years ago, but the second best time to start is right now, huh?
Well, and hey, while we're talking about stocks, I do have 2 stock tips. I mean, hey, he didn't even have one for today. I have 2, and 2 of them for you. Disney, DIS, the ticker symbol, right? Disney has already baked in the ESPN. If you don't know, ESPN is blowing up. It's a colossal mess. They've turned into a liberal rag. It's awful. But what was happening was they were buying everybody else's content. They have no original content like Netflix and everybody else does, right? They're releasing SEC football, SEC basketball,
I can't believe
whatever.
he's talking bad about ESPN.
Well, I like ESPN, but anyway, they're paying a 1.5. Disney pay, and by the way, Disney owns ESPN, so that's why they're together, right? But hey, every time we went to Disney last year, and I just sat there and looked. I mean, they're not blinking at these prices at these parks, not blinking.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. But they pay a 1.5% dividend. The other one's Appfolio, a property management and law firm software company. APPF, good company. Buy the dip. It has dipped. It's down at about $58 a share. Was as high as $95.
Yeah. One theme that I wanted to kind of point out here. I know there's a lot of stocks that have been beat up lately. I know a lot have come down recently. A few safer names that have been on the upswing for the last several months: Clorox, Procter and Gamble,
I'm just
and
laughing
Johnson
at
and
the idea of
Johnson. Clorox, I know Clorox. Now they're not up too much on the year because there was a drop from January to roughly May. And
How's the trend
some
line?
of these names, but the trend line is definitely up.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. I look at all this crazy stuff. He looks at like all this technical stuff, and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm looking at.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Well,
Sometimes.
moving on to the best part of the show. I think this is, one of everybody's favorite, the college football picks. We are, week 8 in the season?
Yeah.
And Auburn and Alabama are back this week.
And Georgia Tech is back, too.
Well, we didn't put them in here.
Penn State plus 10.5 at Michigan.
Man, I tell you what. We're going to find out real quick if Michigan's for real. They're 10.5-point favorites at home in the big house. I'll take Michigan.
That sounds good. Missouri plus 5.5 at Florida.
This is a trap city because I know I say that all the time, and I'm usually right on the trap games, but 5.5 should not be here. Missouri can score a lot of points usually, but this should not be 5.5 points.
Yeah, I think Florida's going to cover that.
This is a trap game. Yeah, I agree.
You're taking Florida?
Yeah, I'll take
Georgia
Florida.
-9 at Kentucky. Man, as much as I'd like to see
I've been
Georgia
wrong the last
lose.
2 weeks in Georgia. But
I
man,
got to take Kentucky at home. They're going to get it done.
but you're getting 9 points, right? You're getting 9 points. So I'll take the Dogs just to be different. I've lost on them twice in a row. How can I lose again? I mean, wow.
Now, so we've had an off week. So what did we work on in practice, you feel like?
Who, Auburn?
Yeah.
Ah,
Texas A&M plus 4 at
we
Auburn.
we were going through the roster, how much we've paid every player, and, we're trying to find out where we can trim the payroll.
Trim the payroll. I think
Yeah.
I think Gus is just set this whole season up for this late season heroics. They blew somebody out that surprised everybody before
Ole
the
Miss,
break.
right?
Ole Miss.
Was it Ole Miss?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was Ole Miss.
Yep.
Right?
And we acted. And the best was Gus Malzahn
Ran
acting like
100
it was the best thing ever. And,
Ran 170 yards.
that's
So
huge.
so Jatavius Whitlow should be healthy.
Yeah, Booby.
Booby Whitlow.
And guess what? A&M is going to not only cover, they're going to win the game because the odds makers just got this wrong. You have a incredible head coach in Jimbo Fisher who knows how to coach, and you have a complete, talking about Booby Whitlow, a boob of a coach in Gus Malzahn.
I think they finally figured out the running game, and A&M is going to stack the box and force Stidham to do something, which I don't think.
Which I've never
think
seen a
he
coaching
will.
staff ruin a player. Now, on to the game of the week.
Man, 1 versus 3. Alabama. This is the smallest line they've had all year, minus 15.
Listen, let me just tell you.
At LSU.
Alabama's covering the 15 in the first quarter.
First quarter. They're going to come out on fire.
Well, they
LSU
they
will fight back.
game.
LSU
They'll
will fight back in the second quarter.
They can't hang.
Alabama puts them away in the third. 2 is back on the bench in the fourth. What do you think?
Yes. I mean, look,
has he played a snap
until
in the fourth
proven
quarter?
otherwise?
Has he played?
Why would you be dumb? Right. So I mean, as an Auburn guy, I can't believe I'm saying that, but I'm not going to say that RT word. But no chance for LSU. No chance.
I'm telling you.
Well,
it's going to be a good weekend, and I hate that I'm not going to be here with you next Thursday.
Will you be back in 2 weeks?
No.
So it'll be 2 weeks. We may have a guest. I'll be here. But remember, the podcast, go to Apple Podcasts. Go to your phone, whether it's Android, iPhone.
Android's a great phone. Don't say it that way.
Yeah, well. Go to Google Podcast, Stitcher Radio, Spotify. We're everywhere.
We're a big deal. Just look for Real Estate Happy Hour anywhere.
I mean,
it's
all
worldwide.
over the place. I mean, we're kind of.
And it's just thanks to
deal.
great fans like you.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you. Well, I will see you because you'll be cruising the high seas.
Yes.
All right. Well, don't get in trouble while you're out at sea.
Oh, no.
And take some spending money. You'll need it.
I'll need it.
All right. Y'all have a great week and enjoy the rest of your week. Have an awesome week.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.